One take wine. Welcome back. This is a great one, actually. It's kind of a weird one because I'm going to do it in two parts. This is part one. Dow's port, ranging from 1890 to 1997. 24 vintages. We did them in two sessions. So from 97 all the way back to 66. And the second session was 63 all the way back to 1890. We knew what vintages were in the session. So in the young session, we knew the wines were from 1997 to 1966, but we didn't know the order. So it was semi-blind. It has been 3 days now, since the tasting. So some of them, I expect some of these to be worse for wear. And how I'm going to go through this is to essentially taste the wine, give my note that I scored during the tasting, but also any observation I might have now, and then share with you the vintage. And I'm going to do it in exactly the order that we had the wines of tasting. So it's not really blind or semi-blind for you, but you kind of get the idea of how great a tasting it was, and it really was. And I'll wrap up my overall general thoughts at the end of part two, which will come out soon after this video, if not at the same time. All right, I think that's all I have to preamble with, so why don't we just jump right in with the first wine. You can see the color, maybe. I'm gonna try and show these colors as best I can. Get some light into them. Maybe not the best way, but maybe if I put the white paper behind, that kind of thing. I don't know if that helps. There's a lovely little strawberry, I think, nose to this. A bit high-toned in the nose, but not off-putting high-toned, not acetone or anything like that. Just very light berry, almost liqueurish, raspberry, strawberry. Yeah, this is very port, if you know what that means, from my perspective. You know, the vintage ports where you get this they feel light. They're not the heavy ones, the young, dark, kind of muscly ones. They're lighter on their feet, but they're still very intense, almost liqueurish. An intensity of drive and flavor. I thought during the tasting, the mid palate of this, it was still a little hollow, maybe. And now that I'm kind of drinking it, I am not feeling the same way at all. Wow, what an incredible length. Here are my notes. Strawberry jam, I would agree with that. A little hollow, I think that's filled out now. Long mentholated finish, that's still there. And if anything, it's longer. Fantastic drive and energy. I still agree with that. I like it. I think some people might find it a bit drying on the finish. It's not, especially compared to others. Yeah, perhaps a bit hot and dry on the finish, but that drive, it's super Burgundian. I think that was the word I felt best described this wine at the time. Nice style, different from the others in that mid palate. Just the kind of the missing element there. And I thought it was one of my favorites of the flight. I scored it a 93 plus. Wine number two. Maybe I'll try that trick again. I can't really see through paper, so I'm hoping that it works for you. There's something a little strange about this nose. I have it as warm jam, savory, almost gravy-like on the nose. A riper mid-palate than the first wine. I have decent length and some noticeable tannin late, but that's not there now. There's a couple guys that identified it as slightly corked or incorrect. I agree. I think that that's exactly what's happened here, and it was the only wine of the flight that was incorrect. That said, you know, I didn't at the time score it that way. I didn't score it as high as wine number one, but I didn't identify it as incorrect. I have it as question mark, slightly corked or incorrect. Still 90-ish depending, and now I would go down. Obviously, it's not worth rating. So let's just jump right over to wine number 3. A little bit of a different color again. Okay. Bit of a dusty nose on this. Spirit nose, muted at first. I quite like this now, though, I must say. This has got a meaty, savory note to it. That's very, it's almost like a combination of candies or candy cookies and gravy. Dipping my cookies in gravy. Beautiful red fruit. Yeah, a lot of licorice, a lot of depth. This is much bigger than I think I credited it for at the tasting. I think what happened at the tasting is I was colored from wine number 2, and I thought that maybe this might be a little bit incorrect. Although I gave it a good description, just not a great score. Spirited nose, yes. Muted at first, yes. Came around with swirling. I didn't have to swirl it as much. I mean, this is really lively and still in beautiful shape. Beautifully drinking, I must say. That is really nice. It lacks the length of the first wine, but it has depth. It has more persistence than drive, I would say. A nice rounded feel to it, nice rounded flavor. Savory, some herbs and jus. That's what I said. Lots of licorice, nice balance, classic style. I agree with all of those things. I really like that wine now. I only scored it 90 points. I'd be inclined to go up from there. I'd be inclined to give it a 92. And this was the 1972. So, not too shabby. I mean, I don't think it's a great, well, I don't know if it's a great vintage or not, but it wasn't one of the ones that I was like looking forward to. It's thinking, oh my God, I can't wait to get there for the 1972. But I could be totally wrong. I'm gonna have to check that up. Great wine. Fourth wine. Now we're into a color difference for sure. I'm hoping we can see. And you can see it's much younger now. Ooh, whoa! This is blackberry and boatloads of licorice, black licorice and dark chocolate. Whew. Wow, what a nose! It's almost dessert-like. Yeah. And this is wow, what a great mouthful of wine this is. Okay, this is a much more expected. There's so much tea in this. Man, so much black tea. Oh, wow. Super sweet, big, brawny kind of wine. I think it's still young. It is still young. You can just tell from, but boy, what a mouthful. This is really good, and it's got a hell of a future in front of it, I must say. Enjoyable as heck. Let me see what my notes were. Almost New World Cab on the nose at the time. Yeah, I mean, I felt like, especially with just the 4 hours of being open, it wasn't enough. It needed more time. And you know, this is singing right now. It's literally singing. Well, okay, it's not literally singing, technically, but it's in the best shape that I could imagine. Sweet black licorice, very peppery, and noticeable tea. It's more than noticeable. Lovely balance and presence. and by presence, it's just it's so big, but at the same time so elegant. It's you know, the linebacker who can waltz. It's a fabulous, fabulous combination of grace and power. Great length. Great length. Very, very, very strong on the finish, both from a drive perspective, although wine number one to 1975 was longer. But the combination of precision or drive and persistence is the word I'm looking for. Thank you very much, brain. I gave it 95 points. I concur with that. I think it's still 95 points. I think it might even score a little bit higher. I may be being unfair. Let's move right along. We've got a lot of wines to go through. Wine number 5. What do we got in the glass? Well, you can see that it's not the 1997. I wouldn't try to fool you this way, or my taste buds. Look at how clear that is. You know? A brown orange tinge are my notes, perhaps a bit of orange liqueur on a super elegant nose. And I concur with that still. If anything, it's more elegant. Some burnt sugar and some, there's an orange liqueur, there's a, you know, how is this possible that these wines are, if anything, better than they were 3 days on? You know, I mean, it's sensational if you think about it. This is actually superb. There's a kind of a creamy, biscuity kind of feel to it. Strawberry, a little alcoholic fire there, but not a burning fire, just a kind of a nice, refreshing one, with a very solid licorice sort of knob on the front of it. This is like a cane, very heavy sort of licorice knob of the cane, and then kind of flowing downwards into a elegantly styled. Man, I'm liking that. Wow. I thought it lacked precision on the finish, and I take that away now. I'm moving away from that. I think that's very unfair to this wine. If anything, this wine certainly grew a peacock's tail of a finish, because it's one of those that that sort of zooms in and then spreads out. And that's exactly what's happening. And I think on that day, it just kind of stopped. It just kind of came in, had all the flavors and everything, and then it just kind of slowed down. This is a fantastic wine. This, I severely underscored. I'll be curious to see what my co-tasters scored this at, but I think they must have went much higher than me, because I only went 87. And I would rescore this at 92, 93 easily. So I was way off, way unfair. Wine's one of those things. It's place and mood and, you know, what's been happening, and also how long it's been open. And it's obvious from these wines that they need a lot of time, even when they're old. I mean, it'll be fun when we get to the second session, when we get to the really old guys, because then we'll really know, you know, can you keep things like this open for 3 days and still hope for a fantastic experience. This was amazing. The 64 is actually, I think it's stronger than the 75 right now. The 75, you know, I scored a 93 on the day, and now I would, I think the 64 nudges out the 75 just by maybe a smidge. All right. Oh, a lot of tea in the nose here. This is the 6th wine. Oh, lots of depth of fruit. Let's take a look at the color, see if we can see that. Yeah, sure we can. Sure we can, right? So it's a little darker than the 64 was, but it's still has some red hints to it, but it's obviously getting a little bit older. The nose is so savory. It has so much sweet red strawberry jam fruit, but also that meatiness, you know. There's a real meatiness, morel mushroom darkness that is so wonderful. It's just so delicious. It so counterbalances that sweet fruit in a really, really classy way. I mean, this is how, you know, old world wines are made, you know, to have this kind of complexity. And this is stupendous. It's also super, super long and super, super lovely, even now, 3 days later. Maybe not the most driving finish here, but still, it is like the 64 in the sense of having both drive and persistence. Maybe a little bit of bite on the end at the very, very finish, and a bit more tannin than some of the previous wines. Let's take a look at the notes. Wine 6, 1985. That's a good vintage. Red Twizzlers and Malt and on the nose. Classic. It is classic. It does taste like something you'd expect from wine. Plummy. Christmas spice cloves. I didn't mention that. And now that I've got it on and I'm reviewing these notes, definitely it's there. In spades, as a matter of fact. This is a good Christmas wine. If you're paying attention, we are close to Christmas when this is going to be posted. So if you can find an 85 at auction, I think it'll be marvelous part of the Christmas dinner. I had both bitter and sweet notes. The complexity is there, shimmering, some meat jus. 93. I'm inclined to go up from there. I think it's a 94, easily 94 wine. That is stupendously good wine. Let's keep driving. Let's keep this bus on the road, shall we? Wine number 7. Look at that. Okay. Look at the color of that, man. I mean, that's just crazy. That's insane. Oh, now we're talking. I thought the 85 was Christmas. This is Christmas. This has got a Christmas punch almost to it, nose. Oh. What a wine. What a wine. This is just jam-packed with cloves, you know, star anise, a darker fruit. This is a much plummier type of fruit. It's a little more hollow coming right off the entry than I remember. It's a bit, maybe not as, it was almost Foursquare when I tasted it originally. It was just like this Mack truck of a wine barreling through your palate. And now it's cresting like a great surf wave down in Portugal. But just jam-packed. There is not one atom in this wine that is not jam-packed with flavor. Oh, this is so big. And it could improve. There's a couple of wines that we've had so far that I think could improve, and 97 in particular is obvious, but this one is less obvious. Oh, I love this. I love this. I love the meatiness on the finish. I love the herbaceousness on the finish. There's a little herb, tobacco, pipe tobacco even. This is a grown up. This is a big boy, put your pants on kind of wine. 1980. Felt ultra young to me, and potentially youngest of the flight. I would revise that now because I don't think it. I think the 97 feels younger than this does now. 3 days on, I must say. It's very dark, but it's lifted eucalyptus nose. That's maybe downplayed a little bit right now. A touch of cough syrup. Also, I mean, I think that's referring a bit to the fruit and the alcohol. Tobacco, yes, tremendous oomph, and that I would agree with because it's like a wham. It just kind of hits you. Still a bit raw, but a ton of promise for the future. Raw, I don't know. I think you can buy these and enjoy them right now. I mean, if of these so far, you know, if you're not buying 97 and packing them away kind of thing. This is the one where you could, with the 85, that you could sort of just, you're on the line of drinking, but also of saving. So it's kind of a nice place. I'm going to be revisiting that wine. That I can guarantee you. I love That is just so good. Wow, 1980. The length on this is tremendous as well. Anyway, wine number 8. Bang. Check it out. You know, we're still in the first session, so we're still dealing with some of the younger ones, and that color, I think, sort of tells us where we are. And just smell that nose. Ooh, boy, oh boy. If you like licorice, you're in luck. This is just so, and the meatiness. There's a real jus, you know, like gravy after you cook a steak, and you kind of add a little wine and onion and herb to it and sort of reduce it and let it come down, and you kind of get all those savory notes popping up, filling up the kitchen, getting the glands going. Delicious. It is delicious. However, I would say it's a sneaky length. It's very, very sneaky. It's kind of coming up, it's kind of crawling under the tongue almost, and coming up the other side and going, oh, what a finish. This is a peacock's tail of a finish. What a wine. It's cleansing and mentholated on the finish, and beautiful. Really, really gorgeous finish on this. I think the body on this is spectacular. Oh, wow. Black tea. The elegance of this it's mesmerizing. It's absolutely, it's so fantastic. I just love this wine. I'm just in love. I mean, if it wasn't sweet, I'd drink it every day. Oh, yeah. Oh. It kind of, on one side, there's that kind of steak, you know, that kind of fried, this kind of steak in the pan, it's fired up, and butter, and reductions, and rah, rah, rah. And then this kind of sweet blackberry shimmering off into strawberry and raspberry. And then this kind of pipe tobacco-y stuff, and all along this seam of menthol and eucalyptus menthol type of thing that, like I said, it sneaks under. It's like a slipstream, curls back up, and at the finish spreads out, and then just sort of says, how do you do? Man, this is amazing. My notes were sweet cherry nose, yeah, cough medicine, I think, yeah, because you can tell how it's developed since then. Huge mouthful of black tea, lots of tannin. Tannin settled down, I'll have to say, 3 days on. I thought it was the youngest of the flight at the time, and it's still purple rimmed. I think that's what kind of gave me the idea, because I mean, you know, when you're in this flight, you're sort of saying, oh, you're doing a process of elimination, because we had to guess, you know, which was which in terms of the vintage, you know, and so you kind of, you're playing off 94, 97, you know, the younger ones. Yeah, this was 94. Good wine, 94 plus. This wine deserves a lot more. I think I'd go up to 96, 97 now. I think it's that good. I preferred other wines on the day, but I must say that, and the 64 is really impressing the hell out of me too. I mean, the only wine I'm not impressed with so far is the one that's incorrect. All right, wine number 9. Let's do that. I'm gonna do this. Let's see the color. A little bit more Burgundian, clearer, and a little orangish, but still mostly red. Ooh, a little funk here. A little funk on the nose. Almost a rawness to it, an alcohol rawness to it. Yeah, they can't all be bingos. This is a simpler wine, I must say. It's I mean, you know, when you're coming off that 94, which is taking you all over the place. I mean, 94 is almost, I think it's the presence of greatness. I'm reassessing that one all the way. I take back my notes. That is a great wine. I'm going to be looking for it. Anyway, this is not in the same league. It's got the beautiful fruit. I think it's a little raw on the nose. It's kind of scratchy. But it's a high-toned red fruit. Pretty simple mid-palate. And a hot alcoholic dry finish. It's not for a premium setting, you could say. It's not something you want to serve the queen. But it's not a bad bottle to have around if you do have it. I mean, like, there's no shame in popping it, drinking it, enjoying it. It's just that, especially in this company, and that's the thing. You know, sometimes when you taste these wines, it's not really fair to them because they're competing against each other, and it's just simply not fair. This would be 1977. I wrote a combination of medicine and cheese on the nose. The cheese is gone, but the medicine, I could argue, I thought it had better balance on the palate that day. Perhaps a titch raw on the finish, certainly. Noble flavor, I agree with that. And drive and persistence, although I think that the drive today is a little more raw. I'm less impressed with it. I gave it a 92, 93 on the day. I would knock that down to 90 today. Here we go. Wine number 10. Lovely color. Look at that. Oh, it's so soft. This makes you happy. Not very forthcoming on the nose today, I must say. Oh, now it's got something quite almost cotton candy-ish. Very interesting, because it's quite different on the nose than the others. That's nice. It's almost like a tomato and jus type of reduction, but with a nice lifted black cherry kind of fruit. Duck sauce. Yeah, this is lovely. It's super complex, and it has these savory notes that just will have you singing to the moon. Oh, wow. And a long lingering finish. This is just lovely. It peters out slowly. You know, it's one of those where it doesn't sort of crescendo and do its thing and then sort of wait for the next sip. It sort of builds up and slow crests and then slowly gives way. It's one of those wines, long contemplation wine. Cigar. Oh, my gosh. Oh yeah, and it was one of my favorite wines of the tasting. Of course it is. It's so elegant. I mean, 1991. There was a little cellar skunk on the nose. That's long gone. There's nothing there now. Black licorice. Strawberry, sure. Gorgeous. Long, sexy, drying a titch on the finish, I think. But not overly so. So, of course not. Lots of class in this one. 95 in the fave of the flight for me. I think I'm going to stick to that. But I'm also going to say that the 64 and the 94 have come up into its slipstream and are fighting for position. And maybe the 75 I would knock down where I'd kind of lifted it up into a premier position. And maybe I would take that one down and note. Now we're talking about, you know what I mean? It's a game of inches here. I mean, I don't know. All I know is, if you have a chance to get the 91 and the 94, do not hesitate. Absolutely. Don't hesitate with any of these, to be honest. But, I mean, this 91 was something special. I mean, this is presence of greatness. That's what I thought that night, and that's what I think now. I'm super happy I did this, because Dow's is definitely on my radar. I just didn't know that they could be so classy and complex. I mean, I guess I understood it, but I didn't believe it until I actually tasted it. Let's jump into wine 11. Give it a swirl. Take a look. Getting a little browner now. but still red highlights, I would say. It's a bit, this one's earthier, I will say. Still has the high toned fruit. Very nice, very sweet and delectable. Yeah, tough company this is in. Unfortunately, it's much simpler on the finish and in the mid palate. It's kind of long, the finish, but it's more of an alcoholic long, you know. Yeah, it's kind of got that alcohol freshness to it. It lacks mid palate and third quarter presence, I would say. Nice wine, but I don't think we have to spend a ton of time with it. I wrote that it was almost confit, caramelized onions on the nose, savory. And then a lot of skunk, but the licorice was there. Lighter in tough company here, but not unpleasant. A bit of bite on the finish and a bit medicinal, but fine medicine. Yeah, 88 points. I think that's fair. I think 88 is kind of where I'm sitting. I think it suffered from being open for a few days. I don't think it was marvelous from the start. I think we can move on. And the last wine of this first part one. Give it a swirl, give you a look. There we go, some color. You can see we're getting a little dark or lighter again. Some brown tinges to it. Bit of shoe leather in this. This is a flavor I've had before with another one. Tea and rhubarb. It's that combination, tea and rhubarb. I didn't think it was unlikable, but I didn't think it was in the same class as the rest. I think it's better than the 66, but only just, and only because it has better length, has a better finish, which is very candy-like, very that candy floss that we talked about earlier as well. That's in there. If you like those types of flavors, I think it lacks some complexity, but it has a good finish and a nice, a great. I mean, you know, it's persistent. It hangs around for a while. I mean, this is not a bad wine. I think I've been most ungenerous to this, probably. Yeah, I was 86. I gave this only 86 points. I gave this 66, 88 points. And I think I'd reverse that. I think I would even give this 89 or maybe, yeah, 89. I mean, 90 if you want it to be. There's a sandwich quality about this. There's some food to this. There's more to this than the 66. 1970 better than definitely on day 3 than on day 1. So if you have them, prepare to wait 3 days. I'm just kidding. I mean, give it a good, decant and give it some time. Fantastic. I mean, what can I say about session 1? We were, I think, as a group, impressed. I think our scoring was all over the place. I think a lot of us had different opinions on what we like best and what we like least. And I think this was the most volatile in terms of understanding, which wine was best. Simply because when they're younger, they're a little harder, especially with only 4 hours of air, to kind of assess and to sort of get a handle on. I think most of these had a fine licorice backbone. There's a lot of licorice, and now on day 3, a lot of tea, and then a lot of wines have miju savoriness that I really like, and that is consistent, if not more pronounced today. I think they're savory in a way that's intelligent. I mean, it should be like that. And in general, I thought Dow seemed much more noble than I thought before the tasting. And not as dry on the finish. I'd read Michael Broadbent, who I went through a lot of his vintage assessments of Dow and port wine in general, but Dow in particular prior to the tasting, and he often suggested a drying finish, which I didn't. I mean, I guess you could argue for, but I didn't really notice it. It didn't disturb me in any case. I think maybe one of the wines had a bit of sharper finish than I would like from an alcohol perspective. But the drying, not really. Drying is not the way I would describe it. Okay, so that's the end of session 1. At the tasting, we had an interlude. We ate a shrimp sandwich. We drank a bottle of 2016 Palmer champagne. Light on its feet and went well with like I said, a shrimp sandwich, and got us in the mood for part 2, which is coming up next. See you then. Thanks for watching.